We are live on the interwebs. Bill Bookwalter's fresh out of Facebook jail, and somehow he ended up with all these extra honey buns. Hey, there we are. Fight Show episode 27, live on the interwebs, presented by 500 Level over at 500level.com, noslap.com, and friends over at 717 Surplus. And then you see a little code down here. Honey buns, Bill, fresh out of Facebook jail.
Let's just say I don't like honey buns anymore, and I don't want to talk about it.
Hey, no one knows where your nose goes when the door's closed.
How you doing, man?
Doing all right, man.
Dude, busy week and only an hour or so to talk about it, man. All kinds of stuff going on.
I mean, we could stay as long as you want, buddy. It doesn't have to be an hour.
PFL tonight? How the hell did I miss that?
Yeah, I kind of actually slept on that till the last minute. I think are they starting?
It should be here within the hour on ESPN. You know, full card, man. Full card. A lot of decent fights.
I haven't seen this kid in a fucking minute. Where you been, bro? Are you off Facebook now? Matt Benson chiming in from YouTube. I'm still trying to get the stream shared to the group here.
Oh, good. Yeah, but once you get that done, I'm going to share it real quick, too. I'll dip out. Still talk to you guys, but I'll dip out and share it as well. I'm trying to get good at this technology that you young kids are all about.
Oh, Matt Benson said he got zucked. You and Bill both. You guys are going to need to start.
You can't say anything. You can't say anything anymore. Like, listen, I've run my mouth, and sometimes I've deserved it, but I don't feel that this time I deserved it, you know? Guy's got to stand up for his chicken parm, you know?
That said he made fun of an Indian guy.
Yep. Yeah, I'll tell you
What's up?
Man, the world is going in a weird direction right now.
Yeah, what the fuck else is new? I'm going to close Facebook down because it always lags up. Anyways, Fight Show episode 27. Back for episode 27. If you're in the comments, drop one. Whatever platform you're on. I think PFL's tomorrow, Bill.
No, Thursday. It's not tonight?
Thursday, 6:30 p.m. No, Matt. Yeah, Matt, it is tomorrow.
Oh,
yes, Matt, I miss you. Come back in.
All right, man. I thought you know what? I thought PFL was going to start giving us shit like Thursday night football. You know, almost like I love my Dana White Contender Series on Tuesdays. That is right. They did. Yeah, stuttering. They did used to pull that off on Friday nights on ESPN. That is a smart move not to go head to head with the UFC or any other stuff on the weekend. So I thought it was tonight. Damn it.
No, Friday night's their night. I think it's hilarious.
I do appreciate that they do that. I appreciate they put it on Friday night and try and get their own viewership because I get to miss my MMA when it's not on, man. Matt Dawson doesn't even know where to find it. We got all kinds of matches. No, dude, hold on a second. Let me rethink about the stuff that I've seen today. I really think PFL is tonight, man. I think you're wrong. Double fact check that.
No,
I think that's
I
tonight.
just said that. I said normally it's Friday. Matt said it was Friday. I looked on Tapology. It's Thursday.
Okay.
It's Thursday at 6:30. Brent's got me all fucked up because it looks like he's tuning in from YouTube tonight. So I don't know.
Brent's the best. Most of the guys are Indian moderating Facebook. Not a good move.
Yeah.
Brent's always good for a zinger, man. Brent's funny with it.
Old deep throat over there won't come on the show. I'm kind of stoked at Matt Benson's background, bro. When are you out of Facebook jail, buddy? We need you back on the content. No, man, what's up? We got popular to contrary belief. UFC 300 is not this weekend, Bill. That is.
I get my days mixed up.
Curtis.
Yeah, I forgot. No, we got Brennan Allen versus Chris Curtis this weekend. If you'll be able to catch me in a snippet of the promo again, probably, because I refereed Brennan Allen somewhere for the UFC, and he beat the piss out of this dude. So they always seem to like to show it. So.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll do the. I don't know if they'll do the promos like that for the Apex for the fight night cards. I don't know.
No, no, they still do it. They still do it.
Turn your phone sideways.
All right, hold on. Like I said, I'm still figuring this technology stuff out. There you go. Better?
Much better. For those of you tuning in, if you're new, hanging out, haven't been here in a while, Bill's former professional fighter and referee. And if you happen to catch the Sean Strickland DDP promo package, saw his big, beautiful ass there.
You get my D-level celebrity status.
It's not like you just hang out with Ric Flair or anything. I mean,
yeah, I know, right? That'd be crazy. But no, we got a lot of stuff to talk about and not a lot of time, man. Where do you want to go? Oh my gosh, we got rule infractions, we got cards coming up, all kinds of stuff.
I want to start with the fact that they've been doing this for 30 years and they've gotten exceptionally better on anything. But for some fucking reason, we can't change gloves.
I do like the idea of the Pride gloves. There did not seem to be this issue over in Pride. If anybody's unfamiliar, Pride Fighting Championship is now a now defunct organization that the Yakuza over there in Japan. It was very, especially according to Brent. Brent could tell you more about it than I could, but they had their hands in it, you know. But Pride used these curved yellow. How would you describe? Or not yellow, curved blue and red. How would you describe it, Garrett? They were like a full padding that actually kind of extended past
your hybrid. I guess they're quote unquote hybrid gloves. I
don't remember
curvature is what makes the difference, though.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing. Dude, I know. And listen, we can get to it later on and all that fun stuff. We'll have our own thing to it. But a lot of fighters, especially obviously the Weidman Bruno Silva fight is in high discussion right now. That referee was begging them to shut their fucking fists, begging, and it was just I guess they said Justin Gaethje is a real proponent. He said especially because they give you a brand new pair of gloves, right?
Yeah,
and they are stiff, bro. When you put them on your fists, they are stiff, and they want to keep your hand extended. Okay, so to actually ball up your fist, it takes some energy, whether you're trying to grapple or whether you're not, the natural position of the glove, it wants your fingers to be out. So I don't know if they could do a better job breaking them in or, people have, Dana White is a genius at brand recognition. He's really, really good at it. People know the UFC gloves to be fingerless. I don't know if they would be willing to change to an overall padded glove,
Matt just said it best. I've been kind of echoing this. Justin Gaethje said it, and Justin Gaethje's part owner of Onyx, and even he resonated with it. Was like, look, it doesn't have to be our gloves. We got to fucking do something because I know I've worn the stiff gloves.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're and you got all these people on the internet, doing what's the dip? Now, once you have a wrap in, and I know guys that skin on their hand wrap. Once you have to physically pump. The arm pump you get from trying to keep your hand closed is absolutely insane. And people don't understand this. And I'm not saying every time someone does an eye poke, it's not that person, but it's real. It's like I said, it's the same thing we talk about every week. You discuss something. There's multiple things to consider.
When I used to, I think I had about 10 fights in Virginia, give or take. Okay. When I used to go down there and Global Comp for the old heads, Global Combat Alliance used to handle all that before a lot of state regulation was dealt. Well, I used to step up to the table and I used to ask, do I have to wrap my hands? There's nothing in the rule book that says you have to wrap your hands. Every time they let me get away with it, I think I only wrapped my hands like twice in Virginia. Every time that they let me get away with it, get away with it. Every time I didn't have to wrap my hands felt so much better. I had so much more room. It was so much easier to keep my fist closed. Once you wrap your hands and try and shove them into this XL glove, very few promoters had the 2XL gloves, which they should because there's some bigger dudes out there. But I try and jam my hand in this little ass extra large glove with like a full hand wrap on. Dude, it was kind of difficult to it wasn't ideal to grapple or punch with, So an orange peanut. What's up, Rob? We'll get into that. We'll get into that another time. I'll tell you the story off air. But yeah, it is. I tried to get away with not wrapping my hands every chance they would let me. I didn't want to do it. I don't think, I don't know what the rules are. There's no rule I've ever seen that says you have to wrap your hand. It's there to protect your hand from breaking. So if you don't want to take that precaution, there's nothing that says you have to wrap your hands that I'm aware of. I've never heard a UFC fighter make a big deal about it and say, I don't want my fucking hands wrapped. I'll tell you what, who didn't used to wrap his hands? You remember Tony Lopez from King of the Cage?
Yeah.
West Coast, he's like 44 years old at the time, still fighting and shit. He came up to me, he asked me before the show out there at the Meadows Casino in Washington, PA. He said, do I have to wrap my hands? I said, there's nothing there that says you have to wrap your hands. So we let him just go. So yeah, it's tight, man. Those gloves are a bitch.
Yeah, I think a good we were talking, our buddy Robert stopped in. He's a cut man from California. Looking to have him one in the next couple of weeks. I'm anxious to talk to some of these guys.
Okay.
Guys about this, because everybody seemed to have a comment on it, and it ranged from people putting gloves on, like their autographed gloves from their collection, and like playing with them. Like, you guys, like, you can't mimic it. It's not. I know guys that cut their wraps down significantly for the sake of, depending on where they're fighting, because certain positions use different gloves. But it's definitely been a hot topic. The UFC needs to do something about it. As far as I know, they wanted to buy the design from Trevor or buy Onyx or do something.
Okay.
But Trevor didn't want to send. Of course, Trevor and Justin Gaethje's a part of it. I think there's a few other guys, but Onyx, I know I've seen guys with the Onyx gloves. Like, I've talked to guys with the Onyx gloves to the point where, like, they are so form fitting that, like, my old bag gloves, I carried my bag gloves with me everywhere I went. I had a pair of gloves, 2 pairs of gloves, 3 pairs of gloves in my bag, but nobody ever touched my bag gloves because I like the way they fit. Trevor's gloves are the same way. If you had a pair of Onyx gloves and you're wearing them, and I want to borrow your gloves to hit the bag for whatever reason, like, it's frowned upon. But anybody I've talked to, and I know Jason Farrell was like one of the first ones shouting from rooftops on our coast. Shout out to Jason from Level Up. He was the first one that I actually like seen and looked at the craftsmanship, was really like, and I know a couple guys got the MMA gloves and they love them, and they just fucking wish that we could make some changes.
You know what? I don't know. It might be. I don't know if this is enough to press the UFC to make a change right now, or if it has to happen in a higher profile fight. You know what I'm saying? Like something that ruins a main event on a major card that everybody was looking forward to, and that ruins it. And I don't know what it's going to drive. Like, go ahead and, be proactive, get ahead of the game, do it now. It's an issue, man. The fighters will adapt. You're not going to give them a worse product. I'll tell you that for sure.
No, I mean, we can't really get any worse.
No. The glove,
you're either going to do stuff to curb it, or you're going to just keep letting them go the way they're going, and you're only going to catch. I mean, and again, certain guys flagrant. Everybody on everybody pulled a John Jones. Like, everybody's, but it's a problem across the board.
It is. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully they address it. It has to get Dana White's attention. And most of the time, I know everybody hates him. Most of the time, Dana White is trying to do the right thing. Maybe not in every scenario. Maybe he's doing what's good for the company, but he does what he thinks is right. And he's bitched about these gloves before, so maybe this would be the one,
Yeah.
Or, it's maybe one of these athletic commissions. These athletic commissions could really step in and just say, hey, here is the new mixed martial arts glove for New Jersey. This is what's used in pro fights. Have your fighters adjust accordingly. Have them train in it, have them do whatever the hell they have to do, but this is the glove they're going to be using on fight night. The commission could actually step in and do that. It's not really so much up to, if Dana White posed and said, hey, we're changing gloves, a lot of commissions would go with what he says. They have a lot of influence, on what it is. So, but yeah, any athletic commission could be like, hey, here's the new professional glove. And the UFC couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, but when it comes to commissions and politics, who's going to get the contract for that? Are you as a state agent? Are you as a regulatory? And Brent's going to correct me if I have this wrong. So it would more or less, I feel like, to make it uniform, because we're starting to fix some rules here and we're getting away from other rules, but to make it uniform, and the ABC should probably suggest it.
Yeah.
If,
you know what?
Feasible, but then you're you're looking at regulatory. You can't go with commission. State bodies are not going to.
Well, I will tell you. I will tell you this. And here's one of these things I had mentioned to you before. I said when I worked for the commission, I couldn't say shit about anything. Now I'm just like a regular guy rambling and shooting my shit on the internet and doing my show. I can say this: there are a ton of egos in the ABC. Ton of egos. If one of those guys had the chance to be like, I changed the sport for the better, I made it better than what it was, that was me. I'll say their dick would get so hard to be like, I was the guy that came up with that. So if it was pitched to the ABC, like I said, there are some huge egos there, and they would love to be the one that say, hey, I changed the sport forever, just so they could say that, But at the end of the day, as long as it would get done and make the sport better, I'm for it,
This guy knows. Steve, that's the
hey, what's up, Steve?
Is that the PA?
Yeah. Well, that's I'm sure that's what he pulled up. Taping of the hands versus ankles are permitted at the discretion of the commission. Okay, Steve. So does that mean I don't want anything to do with taping my hands? I mean, we didn't make Tony Lopez when he fought this guy. His name was, they called him Bam Bam, something Bam Bam Bryant up at King of the Cage at Meadows Casino. Tony Lopez came to me before the fight and said, do I have to wrap my hands? I said, there's no rule that I'm aware of that says you have to wrap your hands. So, Steve, if you got more information on it than I do, please shoot. If a guy said I don't want to wrap my hands, I don't think he has to. Am I wrong on that? We'll get back to that, but
yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
I mean,
let's.
Well, here's the deal. We're at 50. You're at 50 different states with 50 different commissions. You know what I'm saying? So I think in order to affect it, you have to go with something like an ABC. They have to recommend it.
Yeah.
Then
no, the ABC does. The ABC does have a lot of power. A lot of commissions will just be on board. Somebody already did the legwork. Somebody with knowledge.
Just the amount of knowledge that's in this stream tonight is fucking impressive. Actually, we got all the big hitters tonight.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Patrick Johnson. He was an inspector at that show, I believe. What he did in the back with the commission after the fact, that's fine. When Lopez asked me, I told him there was no rule that I was aware of. The dude, Pat Johnson, is a subject matter expert on this. What if a guy just said he didn't want to wrap his hands? Does he have to? There's no rule that says you have to. So what if he would have put up a fight and said, I don't want to wrap my hands because it makes the grappling part difficult? I mean, is the commission going to tell him no? That hand wrapping, it's there for me to protect my fists. If I tell you I don't want it, now I do know that a cup and a mouthpiece is mandatory. That's in the rules, mandatory. But I mean, I'm asking Pat for some. Like I said, he's a subject matter expert on this. Where's the rule that says that I have to do that? It's not in the books. So me as a referee, I wasn't as good, dude. Anytime these guys, like, I always did tell them, I was like, you have to, anything, dude, I'm in the cage. Okay. Well, wouldn't that just, okay. Let's see if they didn't have hand wraps and they weren't hiding anything in there. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if Tony Lopez got out of the cage and they took the tape off his gloves, which gets signed by the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission, and he shows you bare hands, then what? The only part of you guys signing the hand wraps were so that you verified that he didn't put anything in there or do it in a bullshit manner that would hurt somebody. I mean, it couldn't get any better than if he just didn't have anything on his hands at all. You wouldn't have anything to sign. That was the whole point of signing those hand wraps, is to make sure that, no bullshit went on there or no tomfuckery, which has happened before in combat sports. People have taken padding out of their gloves, done all kinds of bullshit for an edge, But yeah, if they made him back, then I must have given Tony the wrong advice. I mean, like I said, good.
And again, I didn't put the level of work in multiple places like you did, but I've personally seen or been at hand or been interacting with 4 state commissions, 5 state commissions, 2 third-party sanctioning bodies that weren't state commissions. And much like the downed opponent rule, much like all this other fuckery that we have gray areas, everything's open for interpretation by whoever. And it varies. And it's not varying because it's varying by personal preference. I've seen multiple guys run fighter meetings, and there's been multiple interpretations of multiple rules,
absolutely. So 100%.
It's kind of one of these catch-22s where I wouldn't even say catch-22 is probably the proper term, but it's just this gray area where there is some stuff that has to be open to interpretation.
Well,
but at the end of the day,
I've been at shows where I've seen them tell fighters to take ankle wraps off, or those neoprene ankle sleeves, and I've been at shows where they allow them on. Yeah, it's the discretion of the commission and the inspector. And I used to tell them, I'm just inside the cage. If you can somehow make it past the commission and past the inspectors and step into that cage, I'm just going to ref the fight. I don't have anything to do with any of that other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's, you look at, everything's got to be open to interpretation, because we clearly have a clearly defined what's the back of the head. Mm-hmm. But in how many different situations do you see shots to the back of the head where the situation that preceded the shot to its head went down 2 or 3 different ways? So it's a case-by-case basis. If you turn your head, the guy blasts you, that's on you. That's not on the guy.
Or if something just barely grazes, and there's obviously no turmoil, no trauma, you say, hey, watch the back of the head. Technically, he hit the back of the head. You should stand them up and, yada, yada, yada. But as a ref, you try not to fuck with the fight as much as you can, which is basically, like I said, we saw, I won't say the name of the referee. He had a rough show. The internet was pretty brutal with him last week. It seemed like every fight he was in, something that really kind of wasn't his fault, what was going on. He was begging Chris Weidman and Bruno Silva to shut your fucking fingers, man, please. And then in the very next sequence of punches, Weidman's sitting there sticking his hand out and putting his fingers right in the guy's face. Like, what the fuck did I just say to you, man? Help me out here. I'm trying not to get involved and trying not to take a fucking point, because we've discussed on the show before how important it is to or how impactful it is to take a point from a guy. I was actually surprised at the referee involving Weidman and him. This is just me. I'm not in the game anymore. I don't get the reps that these refs get anymore. I would have taken a point from Chris Weidman. But then it was a double finger, so it's like, when you say open to interpretation, like, I've asked Chris Weidman, that's the 4th time you've poked him in the eye. I've begged you repeatedly throughout the fight to close your fucking fingers. You didn't. The correct call was made to go to the scorecards because more than 2 rounds were down and they scored the 3rd round. But the referee didn't take a point away from Chris Weidman. Now, that wouldn't have made a fucking difference in the fight. It still would have been 29-27 Weidman. Okay, it still would have had him win the fight.
Yeah.
But what's your opinion there? Could you have taken a point there before you went to the?
I mean, first of all, I'll say his name because I've actually chatted with the dude before out at the Arnold Classic. Gary Copeland's been putting his fucking reps in for years. So just because you haven't seen him ref doesn't mean Gary Copeland doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. First of all, if you're seeing them on TV, and this is, you can talk about this. I mean, I could talk about this from knowledge, just from being friends with you for over a decade. But if you're seeing these guys on TV reffing the UFC, trust and believe they got their reps in. You know what I'm saying? They've done it. You've been there. You've done it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what it takes to get to that point. So just because Joe Schmo, who doesn't understand how a fight scored in the first place, wants to sit there and talk shit on Gary Copeland, who works for his fucking community, provides for his fucking state. He's a veteran and he's gotten his fucking reps in. You're the same guys that don't understand how a fucking fight scored. So I really don't, when it comes to the general public, I really, like I said, if you're not going to take the time to educate yourself on how stuff goes and you're going to open your mouth about it, then everything you just said is invalid because you have no fucking clue. And that I go hard for these assholes in the fucking groups and on the content that want to call people casuals, but say the UFC should fire the ref. Well, the UFC can't fire the ref technically because the ref doesn't work for the UFC.
Yeah. And dude, every referee you've ever seen referee a UFC fight before, there's been people in the comments saying he should be fired. Like, who the hell's going to ref all these fights? I
mean, we had Nick Lopez on the show, a good friend of the show. I've known Nick forever. Nick came up 20 years in Texas on the Texas scene. He's now reffing. He's putting his reps in reffing. Did the 20 years in the cage fighting help him become a better ref? Yeah, probably, but he still has to put those reps in.
Dude, I'm still waiting to hear from Pat Johnston. Pat, if you're out there, man, help me out. What if, just for my education as a fan, if Tony Lopez would have said there's a rule that says I have to wear a mouthpiece and a cup. If I don't get my hands wrapped, there's nothing in that rule book that says that I have to wrap my hands. Would you have told him your own opinion on it? Would you have gone and checked it out with Greg? Like, what would you have done? There's no rule that says you have to do that.
He said in that specific instance, this is an older comment, I don't know if Pat's still with us, Lopez had to have one complete wrap and one layer of tape.
That's who made that decision, because that's not in the rule book. You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm getting at? What if I don't want fucking tape on my hands because I'm trying to grapple this guy? I don't want anything constricting my hands. And there's no rule book in the rules that says I have to do it.
Do you still have your rule book you used when you were reffing?
Well, it was always updated on the Pennsylvania State Athletic
Commission website.
Yeah.
Pat says it was Greg's call.
That makes a lot of sense. Like,
hey,
I swear.
Hey, we refer to him as he who should not be named on this show. We don't talk about that little sawed-off fuck.
Greg's a good dude, man. I always stick up for Greg. Greg's a good dude. He cared. But yeah, I did see two shows in PA over the years, where one show a guy would be allowed to wear some some ankle wraps as long as they were neoprene, and then there were other shows where we were like, no, take them off. I mean, it wasn't standard every year. I was refereeing for 8 years. It wasn't always standard,
So you just hold up. We're going to go back here for a second, because you're just praising sucking Greg Serb's cock on the internet. If he was that good, then it should have been.
I said he cared. I said he cared very much about the fighters and making sure everybody was safe.
Because what you kind of just said was that Greg Serb, at some points during his tenure, kind of made stuff up as he went. It was kind of the rules and how they were enforced outside the cage, kind of from a commission standpoint, were kind of varied based on the mood that Greg Serb was in when he woke up that fucking morning, if he got laid or not, or stepped in dog shit on the way out.
No comment. No comment.
Pat says ABC approved ankle and knee.
Okay. There you go.
And again, we have 50 different commissions in this entire country. On top
and you know what? The times I'm talking about was back in 2015, 2016. Where there was still a lot of jockeying for power. There was still a lot of nobody was on the same page. It was still, we were just getting into the heart of, hey, we should all be on the same page back in 2015. And I think we're much, as an MMA community and as fans, we're much closer, to a standard set of rules than we ever have been before. We're pretty much, there still is a little different interpretation of the hand down rule. Some people want like a full palm. Some people say it's supposed to be weight bearing. Some people, these UFC announcers are still uneducated on the shit. They still think it's the fingertips. They're looking at this shit like, did a guy tap his toe down in the NFL during a reception? So it's it doesn't matter if your fingertip is down. You can get kneed right in the fucking face. And we saw, what was it? The one ref, it was Goddard. I'll say his name. It was Goddard. There were completely legal knees in the one fight. I forget. We discussed it on the show.
I always fuck his name.
Evolov or whatever his name is.
Toronto.
Every one of those knees was completely legal. It didn't matter if his fingertips were dragging the ground over here in the States. But because it was, where was that? Canada?
Toronto. Yeah, it was Toronto's like the 2016 rules, I think, if I want to be technical. And again, I don't quote them.
And then they said those were illegal over there. So we're still not quite all on the same page yet. And here we are 10 years later, since we all agreed that it needed to be addressed. And 10 years later, here we are, and we're still having issues of different rule sets in different places, So
hold on one second. Because we spoke him into existence. Robert McMullen, our good friend from out in the left coast, California. He's a professional cut man, amongst other things. He just hit me back. I want to see, because he honestly would be perfect to just chime in and have this conversation.
Well, see, that was the thing. Even with what Pat said, this is back in, like I said, 2015, 2016 sometime. The fact that he could go, it was Greg's call. Yeah, there was no rule book. There was no rule in the rule book that said you have to, but yeah, there was a lot of gray area and a lot of shit. Now, that night, Greg decided that he needed to have his hands wrapped. As far as I was concerned, he didn't, because I didn't used to wrap my hands when I fought in Virginia. Because I was a heavy, everybody who ever watched me fight, I was horrible at stand-up. I was a somewhat decent grappler with decent ground and pound. I didn't want my hands constricted at all. Because these gloves, these gloves are brand new out of the package, stiff as fuck. And you put these things on about an hour or two before you're ready to fight. And you're trying to break these motherfucking things in because they have no give to them,
Well, and it depends. You can even go down as far as removing the gloves in the cage for the commission to check. PA is super anal about that. New York, again, Virginia, various other states, they're not as anal about making sure that. And again, that might have been a Greg thing. Hold on, I'm trying to find it here.
Well, as much as I said, like he did care about, but Greg did rule with an iron fist. What he said went. There was no room for interpretation. Ask him what his decision is. Go with what he says. Don't argue a point. Don't, that was how it was back then.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Pat, for chiming in, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, always.
Pat Johnston is in the Pittsburgh area. He does a lot of shows for the guys up there. Meadows Casino, a couple of Pinnacle is up there. He does those.
Pinnacle's not up there anymore. It's 247. We had Ryan on the show. Ryan's the only one operating out there now.
Okay, well, I'm old as shit. It was Pinnacle back when I was there. So, but yeah, he did a lot of fights, did a lot of work for them up there. He's been an inspector for quite a few UFC events, I believe. Everyone that's ever went up there, Pat was at it.
Well, I'm waiting to. He's driving. We're going to see. Either way, he's coming on soon. If we can't get him today, he's coming on soon. But like I said, I think we'll see what he wants to do here.
While you're checking that out, I'm going to dig into this nose slap. I got a brand new tube right here. I'm going to twist the top. And now I got to wait 5 minutes, I guess.
Yeah, cracking on a nose slap. I'm over here. I see you got your 500 level hoodie on just while we're taking a break. See what he's doing. Just reminding everybody that's tuning in. Yep. Excuse me. Oh, you can go to 500level.com. Check out what they got. They got all different sports. It's all officially licensed. We're big on the UFC. But if you're one of those icky football fans, they got that too. They work with multiple players associations. Bill's got their UFC. Who do you want if you want to show them what you got, Bill?
Oh,
show the old UFC.
I'm hoping that's what they go with for UFC 300, man. I'm hoping the canvas black and gold.
That would be bad as shit. I saw it today and posted it. Yeah, I got the El Matador, Ilia Topuria. Like I said, they don't have every fighter. They got a good bit of them. Oh shit, we got a special guest live from California.
What's up, fellas?
Professional cutman extraordinaire. Also looks eerily similar to FightShow's Bill Bookwalter. Turn your phone sideways, bro.
He's much more handsome.
Sideways.
There you go. Yeah.
All right.
What's up, man? Me and this guy have been going back. We go back to like 2016. He came and he actually worked a show for us. He's from California. I did a show in New York and got linked up with Bob. We've been friendly ever since. But how many years you been wrapping hands and doing the cut thing, man?
Since like 2014, I think. 2014, 2015. Yeah.
Decade in.
But I've been in the fight game for like 30 years.
So you came from boxing?
I was boxing, and then I got into like fitness and was doing the strength and conditioning for Team Tompkins and a bunch of other local fighters around here too.
Yeah, so Bill, you remember Sean Tompkins, Kevin Randleman? Only the OGs. You young guys have only been watching for like 2 years. You're not going to recognize anybody we're talking about, but Sean Tompkins, Kevin Randleman, two OG legends in the sport. Bobby was good friends with them. Missed them both.
Yeah, Randleman, man. Randleman's a legend, dude.
For sure.
Yeah, Team Hammerhouse way back in the day with Mark Coleman. Mark Coleman, Kevin Randleman. Randleman, national champion from Ohio State. Yeah.
We were just having a conversation with all the eye poke stuff. We were talking about hand wrap and gloves, and you've done a good bit of your work out there in California. What's the scene like out there? Are we cutting down on wraps? What are these guys doing out there on the ground in California?
Nah, they you still get the same thing. You get a roll of tape or a roll of gauze.
That's pretty standard across the board then? I mean, because we're talking here, and some of the commissions out here are hold on. We're losing them. We might lose them.
I haven't I only did the one show in New York with you. I mean, I did a show in Philly and Oklahoma, but the Oklahoma was way back in the day. Like that was probably 2015. But I haven't had any issue with tape. Like it's one roll and roll one roll of tape, one roll of gauze per hand. And I mean, dude, I'll make your hand into a cast. So with that, it's enough.
Rob, I got a question for you. Okay.
Yes, sir.
In your years in the sport, 30 years now, in boxing. Okay. I do love boxing. I do. I love combat sports. So you have to wrap your hands in boxing. Is that correct? You have to. It's mandatory or no? What have you ever seen a fighter? I was a grappler in MMA. I was not good at stand up. I had no intention of keeping the fight standing. If I told you a commission, I don't want my fucking hands wrapped. There's no rule
for
book that says
boxing.
I have to.
I've only done boxing in California, and I haven't come across that. Like nobody in boxing, because in boxing, the first thing you learn how to do is going to be to wrap your hands. That's not in MMA. That's not the first thing you learn to do. In boxing, you're going to learn, hey, here's how you wrap your hands, with just the regular, the little stretchy hand wraps, little ringside ones, right? That's reusable. But then you have, so boxing, I've never had an issue.
Okay.
But
well, here's
those
the thing.
Russians,
that is to protect my hand, right? That's what the wrap is for in boxing. It's to protect my 100%.
Hand. Okay. Yeah, 100%. You can easily, we've probably all punched somebody or something in our lives without a wrap, and it's not always good for the hand, right? Mm-hmm. It's many years ago, guys, many years ago. But all it's for, anything of the rules, everything is to protect the fighter. So anything that they have is going to be to protect your hand, or your wrist, your hand or your wrist. But the reason why they have the extra padding on the knuckles is going to be because that's going to be where you're going to be able to break your hands, and that's what you're hitting with. So everything's about protection. But in MMA, you could start learning something else.
I've seen guys out here that ask for a light wrap. I've seen guys like we were just actually talking to a guy, Pat, stopped in the show earlier, and he works for the Pennsylvania Commission.
Okay.
Was that Virginia you were talking about with Lopez fight, Bill? Or was that Virginia or was that PA?
No, that was PA. That was up Virginia Casino. Yep.
Okay, PA, they said minimum he had to have one layer of tape, one layer of wrap. So they let him cut his wrap down, and then you messaged me, and I'm like, well, he fucking does this shit every weekend in California. Let me get him on and fucking get his opinion on how it goes out there. Because just like we're talking about with different gloves and what we got going on with the eye pokes, like you got 50 different commissions operating under 50. Even though it's a unified rules, there's still 50 different interpretations of a lot of these rules, a lot of these gray areas.
About that, so you can, and I know in MMA, I was going to say this is like the only people that I've had issues, like not issues, but that didn't want a wrap is one, grapplers are kind of nervous, especially when they're just beginning. Yeah, right. When they're just beginning, it like maybe it's their like first or second fight, they really haven't had like a professional hand wrapper or something that's going to give them the same mobility in their hand, dexterity in the hand, with the full wrap. So anytime I wrap someone's hand, as soon as I wrap them, I have them grab my wrist and I'll wrestle with them for a second. Just so that they can see, hey, I still got my grip and strength and all this and that. But the Russians, those guys, no rep. And then the commission, this was in, it's been a couple places, but I want to say it was in Seattle. And, but I know in California too, you have to have like, I think your wrist or something like that. And then you have to have like a piece of tape over your knuckles. So it has to just be like 2 loops or something like that. Kind of like they do with the bare knuckles. Like, I don't know if you guys seen a lot of what they don't do a lot with them. You can do, but they have to do like a tape around your wrist and so on and so forth. But that's the least I've seen. But the commission did say you had to have something on there. But the Russians, they don't want anything. Technically, they don't want anything on them at all. But they've been cool. I get it. Yeah, and then I've had some other guys, hey, can you not put as much? And so I'll maybe use like half a thing of gauze and just wrap them. There's a grappler's wrap and then there's a puncher's wrap. Okay. So you can wrap them a little differently.
Okay, so that's what, like, because what I'm thinking is, as we said, everything is for a safety issue, right? So
100%.
If I ask you for a grappler's wrap, have I now compromised the safety of You know myself? Hold on a second. We got a comment right here that I'm asking, because I would ask you for a grappler strap. I'm like, I have no interest in standing with this guy at all. I'm gonna hit him with my elbows once we're on the ground, not punching him with my fists. You know.
What's the comment?
You can read. You can read, Garrett.
No, go ahead, Bill. Okay. Go ahead, Bill.
It says, for anyone that hasn't grappled, we're proving I can read right now. For anyone that hasn't grappled with wraps and gloves, it's a world of different. You put wraps and gloves on me, and I may as well not have hands. Yeah, I'm not an MMA fighter. I've trained with the guys. I'm an old judo guy, and I can say it definitely messes with you. Absolutely. We were talking about eye pokes. These gloves, their nature is to keep your fingers straight, especially when your hands are wrapped. And it's work to continuously try and keep your fist closed. I could do a hell of a lot easier if you wouldn't wrap my hands, and I'm not going to, I'm not trying to stand with this dude anyway. So we were debating about like going to the curved gloves and mixed martial arts, or just making the hands more flexible with less tape and less wraps so I can actually shut my fists.
Well, most of my tape's going to be on the front of your hand, on the top of your hand, for most of my tape. But I would say it's going to be more important for, like, obviously your wrist. You're still going to have your wrist, and then, but when I do a grappler's wrap, I'm not going to put your thumb in it. I'm not going to wrap your thumb.
Okay.
Now, does that affect the structure and the functionality of the wrap? Somewhat, but then I'm still going to be able to tape around that, and I can do amazing things with tape. But yeah, I mean, you're just not going to have your thumb wrapped, so your thumb's going to be compromised, but you're not going to be slapping people or punching people if you're doing the grappler's wrap. You're going to that's not going to be your focus. So you're going to want more dexterity in your thumb and your hand, so you can bend it and do this and that.
I'll tell you what. Are you working? Are you working boxing shows and MMA shows these days?
I haven't done boxing for a while. Just some MMA, and I'm really just getting back to it after COVID.
Is that something that you would actually sit down and ask a guy? Be like, hey, do you want a grappler's wrap or a puncher's wrap? Is that, or do you just do
ask people all the time, man? Hey, you know what? I hope no one from the commission is watching, but like, I'll ask people.
Bro. Careful what you say.
No, I never do anything. I would never do anything illegal ever, because I'm biased anyway. I'm not unbiased. Sorry, because that's why the promotions out here hire cut man. I don't know what they're doing out there, but because we're not associated or affiliated with any gyms. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like, I'll ask them. I'll say, "Hey, man, like," but very quietly, are you injured at all? Is your knuckles? Is this, or they might offer the information to me, and then I'll wrap it a little. I don't want the commission to hear them. These knuckles are jacked up, and then they get a doctor in there saying, "Hey, you can't fight." So I'll say, "Okay, hey, which one is it?" And then I'll wrap it. I'll pull the gauze a little differently to hold his hand together, and stuff like that. So, but no, but I do ask people all the time. I say, "Hey, what do you do? Are you punching people? Are you striking? Are you just, are you choking people out?" And they'll say, "Hey, this is what I'm trying. This is what I'm doing, and this and that." So, and I can wrap it accordingly. Maybe I won't put as much gauze on it and stuff. But that's not a big deal with the gauze, because you can do stuff with the tape too.
Well, it's like I was telling Gary earlier. I got these big meat clumps for hands. And normally the biggest glove the promoter would ever have is XL. He's not trying to spend all kinds of money on extra gloves. And a 2XL would have been much better. So I'm sitting there trying to stuff a full wrap into this extra large glove. And it's just like my hands are completely compromised. It's like I didn't like it. So Virginia, I fought back in 2010, 2011, 2009 kind of area, in that range. Stuff was there. We've advanced a lot. It's a lot harder to get stuff past a commission or a sanctioning body right now. I probably fought at least 7 or 8 times with no wraps, and nobody gave me shit. I don't really think you could get away with that these days, because I didn't want my hand compromised at all.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting take. I appreciate your take and how you do that.
Yeah, I mean, there's not just one way to do it, right? So, yeah, I've switched the way I've done. I've for somebody would say, "Hey, I need something like this," and I'll change the way that I typically would wrap somebody's hands or do something with them.
Well, I think you are right, though. I think on the front of the knuckles, that's not really. It makes the glove a little tight, but the thumb is the key component. Like, I need my thumb to grip so I can
absolutely,
because I want that arm. I want that. I want to complete that choke the way I want.
Yep.
So no, that's good. Like I haven't fought since 2011. So to hear the way things are being done now, 15 years later.
Yeah, even now.
For me to hear.
Yeah, even now you can literally, like I said, you can get away with. If, hey, you know what? I don't want anything on the. You got the gloves is going to be for safety too, but you can say, hey, I just want something around the knuckles, something around the wrist, and what are they? Hey, you know what? I haven't heard anything bad about it or negative or.
Listen, I will say this: most inspectors that watch you, they don't know how to do what you do. They just know to make sure you're not like caking it with waters of layer and cast and layer and cast. They couldn't sit down and do what you do.
No, not at all.
So whether you wrap it light or wrap it heavy, they're just sitting there making sure you're not putting a lead bar in the front of the guy's knuckles or some shit like that.
For sure, and they make sure that they're not handing something or something like that. So, or you're not slapping some grease somewhere or something like that.
Yeah. I gotcha. Oh, it's an interesting take. I appreciate.
Is it standard? Is it standard protocol? Because I can't remember back to what you did when you worked with us. And again, we were with a third-party sanctioning body, so this was before New York was legal. Is it traditional out there for those that don't know or like what goes on behind the scenes for a member of the other camp to watch you wrap the opponent's hands?
I think that's mostly in boxing. I haven't had that before because the commission is doing it. Yeah. And so the commission, they know the commission. I mean, anybody can come watch me wrap hands. I don't give a shit. But I haven't had that in MMA or at all.
I've seen it. I wasn't sure. I just wasn't sure across the board. I always like to get takes from different areas because I've seen it. And again, the way we operate over here might not be the way it's done other places.
Is that a boxing thing that somebody from the other camp gets to watch? Because I think I remember Tyson Fury's dad sitting there tuning in, watching the gloves wrap for Jake Paul.
Oh, you could YouTube all kinds of stuff. Yeah, there's been some big deals about it. But it's boxing as far as I know. But I've done some boxing shows and I haven't been watched. I just had commissioners and inspectors watch me.
No, I was just wondering, is that in boxing? Is that standard? Is that the other camp's right to watch if they want to?
I don't know if it's the right, but I mean, I'm pretty sure they can. That is something.
Okay.
So I haven't come across. I haven't really been watching. I haven't had anybody like call me or say anything on it or come in here and do it. Maybe once or twice, but it wasn't like a big deal. I was like, okay, whatever. So. But the inspectors are always the one that's watching, so there's usually not any kind of issue with it.
Well, like I was saying earlier, we're more advanced today in 2024 than we were back in 2011. There was some wild shit going on in 2011.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some funny stuff.
Yeah, pulling guys out of the stands to fight. That was a real thing. I've seen it happen a couple times. It's like, hey, sir, you.
Oh my God. That'd be dope. Can you just imagine that? Just chilling with the boys, right? Like pounding a couple back and like, hey man, is there anyone 180? 180?
Yeah, we're sitting here joking about it in 2024, but I've seen it happen, man.
No, I know. I've heard
specific matches that were put together on a whim.
Well, we are for sure going to have Rob back on with us. This was kind of an impromptu thing because of the subject matter that we were talking about and he had time, but we're going to bring him back, let you guys swap stories, get some more OG knowledge from the man himself that's been on the ground in the Mecca since for over a decade doing the damn thing. So out in California there. We appreciate you stopping in, bro. We're going to let you get back to your day.
No worries, man. Thanks for calling me. Hopefully I provided some kind of insight. Helpful.
We always appreciate it, man. Get a hold of me. Get a hold of me soon, bro. We gotta finish that conversation, and then we'll definitely have you. And if you can get your cuz back on, we'd appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. I will, brother. For sure.
All right. We'll link up soon. I'll see you later, man.
Nice meeting you. Yes, sir.
Thank you, man.
Have a good one.
There you go.
Rob McMullen, professional cut man from the state of California. It's always good to have random impromptu people stop in. We like it.
Hey, he knows more than I do these days, man. It's
well, and that's the thing. If you got a coach on and you have a former ref on, and you have a former ref on the internet, looks like he's snorting substances. You get different perspectives from everything.
Yeah.
We've already told you about our friends at 500 level. We are also presented by our friends over right there. Hold it up one more time, Bill. Nose Slap over at noseslap.com. Go check them out. It's the extra large. He's got the XL right there. It's the wake up stick. It's peppermint essential oils and smelling salts. It's got a bunch of different use cases. Tired driving, late night driving. Bill's a third shifter. So he uses it because anybody that's a third shifter knows you need as much caffeine as possible. It's a substitute for that. You don't need to suck up them canned energy drinks. Little puff underneath each nostril, and you are more than ready to go. Use it as a pre-workout or whatever. But as with most everything we talk to you guys about, noslap.com, code FightShow, 20% off your order. That'll let them know that we sent you. Go ahead and do that if you guys are interested. Other than that, I think we kind of took a side quest here discussing rule changes. We'll go over here.
Special guest tonight. Yeah, took a little beer. All right though. I like shooting from the hip, man. I don't like being too planned out with stuff. I like organic, natural. You know.
Yeah, that's why Bill doesn't come to production meetings.
Oh, stop it! You're killing me, Smalls. You knew what you were getting when you asked me.
Actually, I didn't.
Garrett is definitely the brains of the operation.
I just stay hustling, bro. That's all it boils down to. Somebody hit the comments real quick.
Oh my God, thank God he knows about technology. Because I'm the worst.
Matt Dawson with the Jocko. You know, shout out to Matt Dawson. I like these guys. You meet some guys in the comments that actually want to learn, and that if they don't know shit or they maybe misspoke on something, and you just have a conversation with them, they're one to learn. And Matt's been a sport forever. He's constantly talking about Strike Force days. So we appreciate people like him stopping in.
Dude, I've refereed in the UFC multiple times in a couple different states. I'm still learning, like, what the fuck is going on? Because I'm still asking questions on what the hell, like, because there's stuff it seems like it happens all the time. It's like you can't prep for this shit. It's a case scenario that comes up, and you're like, oh my God, what do we do? Like, it hasn't been around 60 years like the NFL and all that shit yet has. So.
I mean, like we talked about earlier, we brought it up multiple times. You got two people here with combined, 20 years experience around the sport, and you fought in a time before unified rules was a thing. So it's a different,
100%.
Your perspective of fighting is going to be different than somebody that came up through in like 17, 18, 19, even in the same state. It's going to be completely different. So
correct. We've seen new shit happen, and new rules have been adapted, and new opinions have been formed, and new people are in places. And
Greg Serb's gone.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I fucking did. Oh,
Greg loved you guys.
Charlie, you keep saying that like it's supposed to fucking mean something. Charlie Campbell, Trevor Peak.
All right,
Charlie Campbell. I did a good bit of research this week. I kind of was on my game. I took 2 weeks off. I got a bunch of notes.
Trevor Peak, I am a fan. He is your praise Jesus, trailer park king, fighter, swing for the fence type dude. He is enjoyable to watch fight. He comes to fight. I
absolutely wild scrambles. The caveat to that is he gets hit a lot.
He does.
Blue belts probably look at this guy and lick their lips. He's definitely got to put Charlie Campbell out to finish him. I think the problem with Trevor Peak is you get like an old school Justin Gaethje when you watch him. You can see him rock 2, 3, 4 times. He comes right back. So the guy's got that dog in him. Charlie Campbell's fighting out of Ray Longo's gym. He's one of Ray Longo's guys.
That's a good gym.
Really good on Contenders.
That's a really good gym.
Looked good on Contender Series. Definitely got Chris striking. He's a little bit big for the division. He's definitely the more technical of the two. I'm kind of hoping Charlie Campbell can pull this one out. I think I'm going to go with Campbell on this one.
As long as Campbell doesn't get into a wild brawl for no reason, he could probably pull that one out. I don't think Trevor Peak has a lot of skills. Now, I'm talking at a UFC level. He doesn't. Of course, he would beat the fuck out of me. But he doesn't have like a set of skills. Like he can't go to wrestling if the wild haymakers aren't working. So Charlie Campbell, as long as he doesn't get in a knockdown, drag out brawl with Trevor Peak, where he wants to prove his manhood and stand in the center of the cage and just trade punches, Charlie Campbell should get that one.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to go with Campbell on that one. If you're stacking a parlay based on what we say, which I wouldn't do that. This is not financial advice. But Bresky 0-3 in the UFC. He's definitely the better of the two. He moves well. He needs to definitely for sure work on his grappling. Little Johnny Walker.
Okay, let me ask you this. So they give him a Brazilian. He's 0-3 in the UFC. And
they give him Johnny Walker's little brother.
And they give him a Brazilian. Guess who the UFC wants to win that fight?
Yeah, I think they're going to put some stock in the Brazilian. First of all, his ground game's vicious. Striking,
they gave him that fight for a reason.
Ground game's vicious, which is why we just said about Bresky's wrestling. That kind of carries my point over. Striking definitely needs to tighten up. He's still young in the game. He still holds his chin up a lot. Like I mentioned,
the UFC can't do anything with an 0-3 guy. You know what I mean? It's like, besides give him to somebody else to get some confidence.
And you give the 0-3 guy with a lack of wrestling to an 11-0 as a pro.
Mm-hmm.
It's his UFC debut. I mean, I don't know. Him and Johnny maybe have different dads. I don't fucking know. They don't look nothing like. But yeah, that's Johnny Walker's little brother. We're gonna go with Walker on that one.
Yeah. I'm uneducated on this one. Gallegos looks like a killer.
Yeah, no.
Ignacio, where did he come from? Educate me. Ignacio
Gallegos, Yagos, 31 pro fights, trains out of Kill Cliff, durable, hard to KO. He lost to Zell Huber at Noche last year with the Anaconda choke. Zell Huber's on the tear. He just came off a win. I think he's just got to take it to the ground and worry about position. He's also Bahamon's got a 4-inch reach advantage. He's definitely got to get inside that. The guy's got heart. He's got skills. This guy trains with Bilal in Chicago.
They both look vicious.
Yeah, good, very good on his feet. Saw some takedown defense issues in the last fight, which is the one I watched this week to get ready, kind of to go over this. He also had that super impressive wheel kick over Roosevelt Roberts.
Okay.
Which, I mean, anybody that knows how to properly do a wheel kick, like to be able to pull it off and nail it the way he nailed it, it's not easy to do at the level that they're at. So shout out to him.
I remember seeing Charrier. I remember seeing him fight. He was dating with Contender Series guy, right?
Charrier, he's 19-9-1. KO on his UFC debut, and he got a bonus from that.
So he's past that.
Yeah, finisher, clean striking. He's definitely the more technical of the two. Another Mariscal. This, from what I'm hearing, I talked to like two different people in two different conversations, said this has potential to be fight of the night.
Okay.
3-0 in the UFC. He's chasing a 3-0 UFC since the start. 3-0 wins. 3-0 win streak. I don't know why I wrote it like that. If he wins this fight, it'll be 3-0 in the UFC since the start. Definitely a dog. He needs to rely on the pacing and the pressure, which we've seen out of the last two fights with him. Okay. And if he can get inside the clinch, I think that might be his key to victory. If they tie up the clinch work, I think he's definitely going to have the advantage in the clinch work for Mr. Mariscal. So that could go either way.
That's a good one.
Damon Jackson had the greatest comeback of all time. If you saw pictures of his hairline from a few years ago, he must have gotten with Merab's hair guy.
Listen, I dislike, not dislike. I think this is a horrible move. I think everybody should just accept your fucking self for who you are. Yeah, make some improvements if you want to. This is the one guy that hair plugs actually worked for. This guy looks a lot better than what he did. My God, this guy got 10 years younger. He looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Terminator from way back when. You know, his hairline was fucking horrible. He is the one guy that this shit has actually worked for. So shout out Damon Jackson, fucking dude. You're whoever did that for you, man. You should be plugging the hell out of those people, and they should be paying you because Damon Jackson looks fantastic. He's got a fabulous head of hair going on.
Damon Jackson, 12th UFC fight. He's been in and out of the UFC. I think this is his second time around. He came up through LFA twice. Fought for another couple of promotions. Like, the durability is the question with this guy. He's got good cardio. He's got good takedowns. He's got good BJJs.
I'll tell you what. Damon Jackson beat our boy Patrick Sabatini. He did. I think that was a fluke. He caught Pat on the way in. I think if they were to fight again, I think Pat would kind of dominate him. But okay, whatever. It's all good. Alexander Hernandez.
Real quick, Damon Jackson, real quick. He dropped 2 to Ige. And Billy Q. Billy Q came up through strike off, where we worked out in Virginia, where we worked together. Alex Hernandez, 6-6. He did have a win over Jim Miller. Then he lost to Algio last year, Senor Perfecto. He's up and down with the weight class. There's zero consistency with this guy. I remember at one point, wasn't he talking shit to Cowboy Cerrone, and Cowboy Cerrone pieced him the fuck up?
Correct. He did. Kicked him. Cowboy Cerrone had one of the nicest, like, 4 or 5 piece combos you're ever going to see. It was a shot to the head, shot to the body, shot to the head, then a follow up with like a kick. It was like the nicest shit. Everywhere Alexander Hernandez tried to move his hands, Cowboy hit him somewhere else. It was a beautiful combo. It's on all the highlight reels. But I do think Alexander Hernandez, I'm not dropping a bombshell here. He's minus 200. I think Alex Hernandez is the better fighter and a lot more ways to win. So,
I mean, I remember when he came in, there was a lot of hype with him. He was 6-6, or he was a lot of hype with him. Now he's 6-6 in the UFC. He hasn't won 2 in a row since 2018. Jeez. He bounces back and forth with the weight classes. He's inconsistent. I feel like with what's going on, this is one of these guys has to go. They won't be on the roster. You'll be seeing them on the UFC roster watch fighter removed page.
Correct. No, you're right. That's a great observation. I think they both know that. We're going to keep one of you guys. The other one, either go get some more wins on the regional circuit or hang it up or do whatever you got to do. But I believe you're right, 100%. One of those guys.
Or Damon Jackson's hair plugs fall out. He bites them, and then they both get cut. Who knows? Chris Curtis, Brendan Allen. This is a rematch. Of course, Chris Curtis stepping in somewhat short notice. He doesn't have a full camp. Vittori was supposed to fight Brendan Allen. Chris Curtis, 41 pro fights. Can I just say that there's a lot of people that sleep on Chris Curtis?
He's solid, man. He's solid.
Only been finished twice.
No, he's very solid. I remember watching Chris Curtis fight. If you look up your little records thing back there or whatever you click, you're the technology guy. He fought down in Philadelphia against, I want to say it was Nashawn Burrell, maybe. And he fought against this guy that was really tough. Maybe J.C. Cuffey or something. It was a show for Locked in the Cage. It was either Locked in the Cage or XCC. But that was where I first saw Chris Curtis. And man, I'm talking like 12 years ago, long time ago. And he impressed me back then. So he's gotten better. He's a durable fighter. He's tough. He's not a pushover. I understand why this would be back in the 2013, 2014 area in Philadelphia, XCC or Locked in the Cage, one of the two. And I remember watching him fight. And
CES? Probably CES.
No, before that. It might have been J.C. Cuffey, might have been the name, or Nashawn Burrell. I could be wrong. We're testing my memory here, which is freaking shot. It would have been back in like the 2012, 2013, 2014, somewhere around there.
Okay, well, Rock the guy, PA cage fight. He actually had a PA cage fight, 2014 against Rex Harris. That's crazy. They're not even around anymore.
Rex Harris was a monster back in the day. One of the most imposing fighters, and Chris Curtis has a win over him. You know, it's like
he came through CES, man. I'm not really seeing anything. He was on Contender Series in 2018, but he really came through CES. So it was probably a CES show in Jersey or Delaware.
Yeah, he's a tough fighter, man.
So anyway,
now Brendan
both
Allen,
these guys have lots of 5 rounds. Go ahead.
No, I was saying Brendan Allen is like.
Go ahead. Fuck. Go ahead.
Brendan Allen has made huge advances. Like he beat up on Paul Craig like Paul Craig was nothing. Like he just dominated this dude. And Paul Craig's a solid fighter. Brendan Allen, I don't know who he's been training with. I don't know what cereal he's been eating. I don't know what he's been doing. But since he last got back knocked out by Chris Curtis, dude, this guy Brendan Allen, man, he is riding on a confidence level it's pretty fucking high. So, and for him to take this fight down, this is a huge risk for him, man. To drop down and fight Chris Curtis at number 14, that's not really going to do anything for you moving forward. The UFC is still going to want you to beat one more top-notch guy before you fight for a title or even talk about it. You know what I'm saying? If you're the 6th ranked guy, and you drop down to fight number 14, what's that really do for you? You gonna get a title shot after that? So why not just bypass the fight altogether and fight the number 4, number 3 ranked guy and take them out and get your title shot? This is all risk, very little reward besides a paycheck. You know, he's got a family, he's got a little girl that he brings to all the press conferences to support and stuff like that. This is a paycheck for Brendan Allen to get, you know. But this is a very high risk fight for him with not a lot of reward.
Yeah, no, he. I thought I was just double checking to make sure I was right. He fights out of Kill Cliff, so he's down there in Florida, the old Sanford MMA. Michael Chandler, all the guys down there at Kill Cliff. Big LFA, like I said, he's ranked number 6. He's 6 in a row, 5 by rear naked choke. He definitely is a different guy. You talked about the strides and the gains that he's done. He's definitely a different guy than he was the first time he fought Chris Curtis. And again, like I said, Chris Curtis I think is really underrated. 41 pro fights. Well, I mean, I didn't even know he fought for PA Cage Fight, which is crazy because it was right down the road from us. But I think the head kick's going to be a big factor.
No, good. Go I'm just listening. No, I was saying it should be good.
I think the head kick's going to be a big factor. Possibly the most dangerous grappler in the division. He needs to finish before the 4th round, though. He needs to finish in that first 3.
And this is a 5-round fight. Chris Curtis knows how to take this thing into the 4th and 5th round. He's very durable. He doesn't take a lot of risks. He doesn't finish a lot of fights, but he doesn't put himself in harm's way a whole hell of a lot either. So if Brendan Allen doesn't have shit left for the 4th and 5th round because he blew his load, it could be a bad night for him. So may the best man win,
like
man.
I said,
whoever trained hard.
They both have a lot of 5-round fights. I think that could make the difference. I think the deep water makes the difference in this fight.
And I will say this in every any opinion you ever hear me give, fighters are generally in their window, their prime, physically, mentally, from 27 to 31. I believe Brendan Allen's about 27 years old. I'm probably going to get totally wrong on this, but he's right around that 27, 28-year-old range.
28.
Okay, he's coming right into his prime. Chris Curtis is 35, 36-ish.
Somewhere. Yeah. With his resume, I would assume I didn't go back off his page. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, he's been around for a while. This is, never get it twisted, this is a young man's game. And if you have a young peaking fighter going against a 36, 37-year-old guy who's durable, I'll take that young guy every time. As long as he's in that 27 to 31 kind of window and impressive and improving every fight. Brendan Allen looks sharp all the fucking time. Whether it's striking, he never looks sloppy. He never looks like he's gassed out or tired. Like, guy's killing it. Got good striking, good grappling. I think this is a Brendan Allen win, but I could be completely wrong, which I am a lot. So I'm just looking forward to watching.
It's okay. Well, with that being said, we're a little over, but we appreciate everybody that's sticking in. If you're still in, you got the comments. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our friends at 500 Level and Nose Slap. You can go over to their respective websites, 500level.com, noseslap.com, and go ahead and put in that code FightShow for 20% off your order. Fight Show t-shirts for the show are coming. Support the show that supports the fighters. Every purchase of your Fight Show tee is going to go to we have a fighter fund that we're starting to sponsor some of these lower regional guys that are just starting out in their journey, help them out with some stuff. And then we're also going to be taking a portion of it and going to Gis for GIs, which provides jiu-jitsu gis to service members around the world to help make sure they can get on the mats and train. Other than that, I think it is about that time for our weekly installment where the kindler, gentler Bill, the one that keeps himself out of Facebook jail, really tells us what's irking him this week. We call it the ref rant.
All right, I'm just going to take that as my cue to go, Garrett. All right, I did not want to mention his name. We are all human. We all make mistakes. I have too. I'll throw myself under the bus here. I refereed a fight between Sean Bloodbath Spath and, oh my God, I'm going to murder his next name. They called him the Turk. I'll get to you on it. The names are irrelevant.
I'm at Kai Retley.
I'm at Corelli. I have Corelli was winning the whole fight, and I was picturing that I was seeing this GSP axe kick through the middle. And when I really, really looked at it closer after the fact, it was more of a stomp to the abdomen area. While Ahmed, like I said, I don't want to murder his name. While he was standing, it was more of a stomp. Stomping a downed opponent is illegal, and I missed it. It's so easy to miss a call. the director of the Department of Recreation, he did the right thing. He called in the experts. I think he actually had Herb Dean call in, and this. I was begging him to change the result because I fucked up. It shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have been the way I called it. So people make mistakes. I'm not fucking this referee up. I don't even want to mention his name again because he had a bad show, and it wasn't. When I say he had a bad show, I don't mean that he fucked up a lot of calls, but he did screw up one, and I wanted to point on it. They announced that fight as a TKO or KO win. Like, it made it all the way to the cage, which lets me know he did not know enough about the rules to go over to the commission and say, hey, 2 full rounds are in the books. I'm calling this an unintentional foul. We're going to go to the scorecards. He didn't know that. He just ruled it to a KO, TKO, whatever it was for Chris Weidman, okay? My referent for this week, do yourself a favor, okay? I've been in the comments on the things, and fans, they're like, oh, it should be this. It should be this. It should be this. Well, here's what it should be. There's a fucking rule set to go over this exact fucking thing. Who gives you a fuck like, oh, it should be a no contest? Who gives a fuck what your opinion is? You're just letting me know you don't want to know the fucking rules. You're like, well, I feel that it should be this. Well, if you catch a ball out of the back of the end zone in the NFL, you don't just get to go, well, I feel it should be a touchdown. Shut the fuck up. To anybody who wants to enjoy this sport, do the best you can to stay educated on the rules. As you can see, even some of the referees don't know what the fuck they were supposed to do in the moment. The UFC commentators, they still think of a fingers dragging on the ground and you catch a knee, that it's illegal. They don't know it, or you're putting a full fist down on the mat. It's a full palm down. Full palm down for right now. Educate yourself on the rules. Don't show up in the comments, well, it should be this because I feel this, or it should be that because I feel this. There's a fucking rule set that goes over just about everything in mixed martial arts. It doesn't matter if you think that it should be a no contest. That's off the table once it's in the 3rd round. It's either a disqualification or we go to the judges' scorecards. Okay? So do me a favor, everybody. I still don't even know all the fucking ins and outs. There's gray areas that you can't predict, like a lot of shit we saw this weekend. If you're a fan of the sport, educate yourself on the rules. Much like the NFL players know the rules, the NBA fans, everybody knows rules. Educate yourself on the rules. Whatever the state the event is being held at, if you're really that hardcore of a fan and you want to comment on some shit, go check out the rules on the State Athletic Commission website. Don't just shoot off in the comments, well, it should be this or it should be this. We have rules. That's what we follow. So that was my little referent for this week. Garrett, back to you.
Oh, this week's referent brought to you by NoSlap.com, where you can get 20% off your order when you check out with the code FightShow. It's the wake up stick. It's great. Bill loves it. He's snorting, smelling.
I really do. I really enjoy it.
Energy drinks. Other than that, we told you guys why we're here. We told you who helps bring you the content every week. We told you that the shirts are coming. We did cover that. Next week,
I am on the overnights next week, yes. So we can either go earlier or go Saturday before UFC 300.
Do you want to just, in lieu of that, I've been trying to get a watch party. We've had people talk about watch parties. Let's get a couple people together and you watch. All you're doing is watching the show on your TV. We learned our lesson. We will not put UFC broadcasts on the screen for all of you to enjoy. Even if it's on ESPN Plus, they frown upon that and banish the show from the internet. We were thinking about doing a watch party.
I'm going to attend one of these production meetings you talk about here, probably tonight or tomorrow.
It's fucking great. I talked to myself for an hour and figure out what the fuck we're going to do this week. I'm thinking maybe we'll talk about it. Don't jump off. We'll get off stream here. We'll end the show. Hang out for like 2 minutes. Let me talk to you. We'll be here next week, guys. Look for the stream. If you're in, if I know you, if you're around, you'll either be invited or you'll see stuff on my page. Appreciate everybody that stopped in again. NoSlap.com, FightShow, code FightShow, 20% off. 500level.com for all your officially licensed UFC and other sports merch. Again, code FightShow, 20% off, with a portion of the proceeds going to Geese for GIs and our good friends over at 717surplus.com. Fight Show episode 27. We are out. We appreciate you guys.
See you, man.